They control the apps on your phone, the cloud that stores your photos, the chips inside your laptop, the credit card in your wallet, and even the perfume on your shelf. 20 of the most powerful companies on Earth, worth trillions of dollars combined, are run by people born in one country. This is the story of 20 CEOs, 20 journeys, and one nation that quietly took over the global economy. Sundar Pichai has a superpower most CEOs would kill for, a near-photographic memory for numbers. As a kid in Chennai, he memorized every single phone number he ever dialed on his family's first rotary phone. But here's what's wild. This man, who now runs the most powerful information company in human history, didn't even study computer science. His degree from IIT Kharagpur, metallurgical engineering, metals. He once dreamed of being a professional cricketer. Instead, he joined Google in 2004, took over a tiny project called Chrome, and turned it into the most used browser on Earth, used by 3.4 billion people. Today, he runs Alphabet, oversees Google Cloud, YouTube, Android, and the AI revolution. And he does it all in his signature style, soft-spoken, consensus-building, never picking fights. The quiet kid from Chennai now decides what the internet looks like. Satya Nadella took over a company everyone had written off. In 2014, Microsoft was the dinosaur, slow, arrogant, dying. Today, it's worth over $3 trillion. What changed? Nadella did something nobody expected. He killed the know-it-all culture and replaced it with a learn-it-all culture. He calls coding poetry and quotes Indian poets in board meetings. Here's a story that tells you everything. Early in his career, he had a US green card, a golden ticket. He gave it up and went back to an H-1B visa, just so his wife could move to America with him faster. That's the man who then bet billions on a tiny lab called OpenAI, a bet that turned Microsoft into the AI king of the world. Arvind Krishna has worked at exactly one company his entire career, IBM, for over 30 years. He started as a researcher in 1990, fresh out of his PhD in electrical engineering, and never left. He holds 15+ patents. He thinks like a scientist, not a salesman. And in 2019, he made the boldest move in IBM's century-long history, a $34 billion acquisition of Red Hat. It was the biggest deal IBM ever did. Now, he's making an even bigger bet. While the world chases AI, Krishna is quietly turning IBM into the global leader in quantum computing, the next frontier after AI. Shantanu Narayan pulled off one of the most legendary business pivots ever recorded. In 2013, Adobe sold software in shrink-wrap boxes. Buy it once, own it forever. Investors hated his idea, rip up the entire business model and force every customer to pay monthly. Forever. Wall Street panicked. Adobe's stock dropped. Today, that subscription model has made Adobe a $200+ billion company. Every designer on Earth pays them, every month. Fun fact, he's also a competitive sailor who's represented India in global regattas. And he attended the same Hyderabad high school as Satya Nadella and Ajay Bunga. 3 CEOs, 1 school. Let that sink in. In 2023, Nikesh Arora was paid roughly $151 million in a single year. One of the highest paid CEOs on Earth. He's lived in India, the UK, Japan, and the US. He started in finance at Fidelity, jumped to Google, became Masayoshi Son's heir apparent at SoftBank, and then walk away from it all to take over Palo Alto Networks. Under him, the company stopped selling firewalls and became a full cybersecurity platform. Today, it's the most valuable cybersecurity firm in the world, and Arora personally interviews top engineers because, as he says, talent decides everything. Pause for a second. This is the most incredible story on this list. Jay Chaudhry grew up in a village in the Himalayas with no electricity, no running water, no school building. He studied his lessons under a tree because there was nowhere else to sit. Today, he's worth $17 billion. Scalar is his fifth startup. He sold the first four. Then in his 50s, when most people are slowing down, he started Scalar with his own life savings. He refused outside investors for years, and he was preaching zero-trust cybersecurity a decade before the rest of the industry caught up. Despite his billions, he lives modestly. The kid who studied under a tree now decides how every Fortune 500 company secures its data. In 2011, Twitter tried to hire Neal Mohan. Google panicked and gave him a $100 million stock grant just to keep him. Worth it. Mohan was the architect of Google's $3.1 billion acquisition of DoubleClick, the deal that built the world's biggest advertising empire. Now, as the head of YouTube, he's done something even bigger. YouTube Shorts? 200 billion views per day. That's Mohan's strategy to crush TikTok. And YouTube is now the #1 most watched platform on American televisions, beating Netflix, beating Disney, beating cable. When Sanjay Mehrotra applied for his U.S. student visa, he was rejected, then rejected again, and again, 3 times. His father had to personally call the consul to plead his case. He arrived in America at 18 with almost no money. Then he co-founded SanDisk. Yes, the SanDisk in your camera and laptop. He holds over 70 patents in flash memory. Today, as CEO of Micron, he runs one of the most strategically important companies on Earth. Why? Because every single AI data center needs his memory chips. No Mehrotra, no AI revolution. You've never heard of Anirudh Devgan, but every chip in your phone, your car, and NVIDIA's GPUs, they were designed using software his company built. Cadence makes the tools that let chip giants like NVIDIA and Apple design the most complex microprocessors ever invented. Devgan, with his PhD from Carnegie Mellon, is considered the magician of EDA, electronic design automation. Since he became CEO, Cadence's stock has gone vertical. Why? Because the AI boom needs chips, and chips need Cadence. He's the invisible hand inside every modern device. Here's a fun one. George Kurian's identical twin brother, Thomas Kurian, runs Google Cloud. 2 brothers, 2 CEOs, 2 of the most important companies in cloud computing. George dropped out of Princeton, temporarily, before finishing his degree, then trained at McKinsey, and eventually saved NetApp from extinction by pivoting it from physical hardware boxes to cloud data services. Like Sundar Pichai, he's a quiet executor. No flash, just results. Chanel, the most iconic fashion house in the world. For over a century, it was led exclusively by Europeans. Then, in 2022, Chanel made history. They appointed an Indian-origin woman as their first female CEO ever, Leena Nair. She isn't a fashion designer. She spent 30 years at Unilever, where she was their youngest ever and first female chief HR officer. She's a gold medalist from XLRI India. She's now leading Chanel's push toward net zero by 2040, proving that the future of luxury is being designed in Paris, but by leadership born thousands of miles away. When Laxman Narasimhan took over Starbucks, he didn't sit in a glass tower. He spent 6 months training as a barista. Even today, as CEO, he worked 1 shift a month at a real Starbucks store. He speaks 6 languages. He led Reckitt, the makers of Lysol, through the pandemic. And before that, he ran PepsiCo's global operations. When you order your overpriced caramel latte, you're paying a man who personally knows how to steam your milk. Procter & Gamble has been around for nearly 200 years, almost 2 centuries. In 2026, for the first time ever, an Indian-origin executive runs the company. His name is Shailesh Jejurikar, and you've definitely used his work. If you've ever bought a Tide Pod or Downy Unstoppable scent booster, that's him. He built that empire. He's also pushing P&G to make 100% of its packaging recyclable by 2030. The man behind Your Laundry is now leading one of the largest consumer brands on earth. When you think Molson Coors, you think big. Rahul Goyal is changing that. A finance guy by training, he was the CFO of multiple regional divisions before getting the top job in late 2025. Now he's leading Horizon 2030, pushing the brewer beyond beer into spirits and ready-to-drink cocktails. He's also famous for his warehouse-first approach. He visits local distributors personally to learn how regional palates change. Most CEOs read reports. He reads people. Ajay Banga is the first Sikh ever to lead a major global financial institution. He's also the first to ever lead the World Bank. The son of an Indian Army general, he grew up moving constantly, a different city, a different school, every year. He says that taught him how to adapt to anything. At MasterCard, he became obsessed with one mission, getting the world off cash. Why? Because cash hurts the poor. Banking hurts the rich less. He banked the unbanked, billions of people. He even advised President Obama on trade and cybersecurity. Now, at the World Bank, he's directing trillions of dollars toward fighting climate change. Few people on Earth move more money. FedEx is currently going through the biggest shakeup in its 50-year history. The man behind it, Raj Subramaniam, he joined FedEx in 1991 and worked in nearly every division globally. He started as a marketer, became chief marketing officer, and is now CEO. His project, One FedEx, is merging Express and Ground into a single super network to take on Amazon. He's a chemical engineer from IIT Bombay running a $70 billion logistics empire. Ravi Kumar S. spent 20 years at Infosys before being recruited to lead Cognizant. He's a vocal critic of degree inflation, meaning he believes companies hire too much based on which fancy university you went to, instead of what you can actually do. So he committed over $1 billion to Gen AI training for Cognizant's 350,000 employees. He's not just adopting AI, he's retraining an entire global workforce for it. Most pharma CEOs are MBAs. Vasant Narasimhan is a real, trained physician, a Harvard Medical School MD who worked on HIV and malaria programs in Africa and Peru before he ever stepped into a corporate office. When he took over Novartis at age 41, he was one of the youngest CEOs of any Fortune 500 healthcare company. He killed the old corporate hierarchy and introduced what he calls unbossed leadership, fewer managers, more freedom. He's now using AI to dramatically speed up drug discovery. The doctor is rewriting how medicine itself gets made. Reshma Kaur moved from India to America at age 11. She became a kidney specialist, a practicing nephrologist, before pivoting into biotech. Today, she is the first female CEO of a large-cap U.S. biotech company. Under her leadership, Vertex did something humanity has dreamed of for decades. They got the world's first ever CRISPR gene editing therapy approved. It's called Casgevy. It cures sickle cell disease at the genetic level. She doesn't believe in treating diseases. She wants to cure them permanently. And under her, Vertex actually does. Last on our list, but possibly the most disruptive. Srinivas Gopalan was running Deutsche Telekom's massive European operations when T-Mobile US tapped him to take over in late 2025. He doubled Germany's fiber rollout rate. Now he's bringing that same disruptive energy to America. He started a Capital One in consumer finance, learned how Americans actually behave with money and tech, and is now expanding T-Mobile beyond cell service into high-speed home internet, taking on Comcast and AT&T head-on. The UN carrier got a new general and is already moving fast. Let's do the math. 20 CEOs, running companies worth, combined, over $10 trillion. That's larger than the entire GDP of every country on Earth except the US and China. They run the search bar you type into, the operating system on your computer, the cloud where your photos live, the chips inside everything, the planes that deliver your packages, the credit cards in your pocket, the medicine that keeps you alive, and even the perfume you wear. Some of them grew up in mansions. One of them grew up in a Himalayan village with no electricity, studying under a tree. But every single one of them shares the same origin story. Born in India, educated with relentless drive, and unleashed onto a world that didn't know what was coming. Please like and subscribe for more content like this.